right, folks, we are back. It's the Infowarrior with Jason Bermas. Before we go to Dan, DJ Ball, Chris, and more, I want to read this article. This is out of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. It has a ton of comments on it. I hadn't checked it until just before I actually got out of the city. We barely made our plane because they didn't release Rob Dew until 10:30 the next morning. Our plane took off at 12:30. I mean, he had to make it from the jail to the car that was in the quarantined area. By the way, while the car was being quarantined and no one could get to it, we got 3 tickets. See, the cops just love to lay it on even harder. As if we could get our car, as if we parked there thinking, oh, we're not going to get our car later tonight. No, we get 3 tickets while they detain him. I had to take a cab there, go get the car. We had to load the car up. We had to take the car back to the rental agency and still just barely made our flight. So I hadn't seen it. Many people posted some videos here. I mean, look at this stuff. Completely irresponsible. What's the other headline here? That makes sense. It's very evil. It just goes on and on and on. Let's read this right now. Oakland residents sought shelter last night as hundreds of police officers tried to break up a peaceful protest that began in Schenley Plaza. Pitt Police Chief Tim Delaney estimated that at least 100 people were arrested. See, this guy tells the truth. 100 people were arrested after police officers from the university, city, and other states tried to disperse a G20 protest. Around 10 p.m. yesterday, about 50 demonstrators stood in Schenley Plaza. Some people in black clothes played a version of Duck, Duck, Goose, as they called Anarchist Cop. A man who was speaking into a microphone advocated nonviolence and said that the September 11th attacks were part of a conspiracy. Of course, this is Luke Rudowski. I was pretty impressed that he doesn't go on to attack Luke at all. This is actually about as fair and balanced an article as you're going to see from the mainstream media. At 10:05, the university issued an emergency message, the second of the day, along the emergency notification service. Conditions may be deteriorating in Oakland. Students are advised to remain near their residences. The university sent out an alert via text message, phone calls, and email at 7:28 p.m. that warned students to exercise good judgment and be careful as more G20 disturbances could occur that day. Earlier in the day, attendees of the People's March, which ran from Oakland to downtown, handed out flyers encouraging others to assemble in the plaza. But the people gathered in Schenley Plaza appeared to be doing little more than playing games or standing around talking. Let me read that again. But the people gathered in Schenley Plaza appeared to be doing little more than playing games or standing around talking. Police began to surround the park about a half hour into the protest. The police encircled the plaza in the lines that were about 2 or 3 officers deep. Police vehicles and school buses delivered more officers to the area. The police brought in long-range acoustic device, which sends piercing noises or spoken messages in aimed directions. By that point, around 200 people had gathered in the plaza and surrounding area. Some people were heard saying, "Let us get out of here." Others stated to scream, "This is what a photo op looks like." By 11 p.m., a helicopter was hovering over Forbes Avenue near William Pitt Union. Officers declared the gathering an unlawful assembly and told people to disperse or risk going to jail. The problem, Delaney said, was that Schenley Park closes at 11 p.m. Please, give me a break. It closes at 11. We had to attack with 1,200 riot police. It closes at 11. Riot police need to enforce the closure. We could not have what happened last night, he said, referring to a demonstration turned riot Thursday that resulted in the damage of at least 10 Oakland businesses. Police announced 9 times that the people should disperse from Schenley Plaza around the surrounding area. One time, they played their pre-recorded warning in Spanish. Crowds began to gather as students watched from the cathedral lawn. Many of the people gathered in the plaza exited on Forbes Avenue, eventually turning up Belfield Avenue. Police outnumbered them by at least 2 to 1. Let me tell you, much more than 2 to 1. I was filming at the corner of Forbes and Belfield Avenue while they were still letting off tear gas inside the general facility. Police used riot gas near the William Pitt Union Panther statue and on Towers patio at different times throughout the night. At one point, what sounded like rubber bullets being shot from a gun were heard on Forbes. Officers on bikes began to line up alongside the Union and Forbes Avenue, and police with riot shields lined up and began to walk down the street. Police gave the final order to disperse. By midnight, most of the officers who had been at Schenley Plaza had moved to other areas. Still, a school bus full of officers in riot gear unloaded outside the Hillman Library on Forbes Avenue. Meanwhile, a K-9 unit, Humvees, and police line moved forward down 5th towards downtown. Central Oakland was virtually locked down. Officers directed pedestrians away from campus. Just before 1 a.m., police were questioning 7 people who had plastic zip ties, the police equivalent to handcuffs, during the protests around their wrists. Students observing the arrest said they were upset about the show of police force. Varen Viswathan, a Pitt sophomore, said he saw the police officer hitting one individual. I think they completely use unnecessary force on us. They have no right to do that. Pitt senior Ken Egler called the police action one of the crazier things he'd seen during last night's protest, especially since he didn't see many demonstrators in Oakland. That's what I keep telling people. I think it's really ridiculous, Egler said. We should be allowed to protest. This is needed, and they're just basically trying to scare us. The police left the area around 2 a.m. So there you have it, the one mainline account that tells the most truth. I mean, it doesn't tell that hardcore about the beatings, but it does let you know, yeah, there was tear gas, yeah, there was rubber bullets, yeah, they're out of control, yeah, there weren't a lot of protesters out there. You know, you don't have to believe Jason Bermas. You don't have to believe the video that we just played. You don't have to believe Infowars.com. The Pittsburgh Gazette actually told the truth. All right, let's continue with the callers. Dan in Pennsylvania. Dan, you're on the line.
How you doing today?
I'm
yes,
all right.
This is good. Kudos and dittos to all you guys there. Yeah, I'm a Prison Planet TV member and watching the show like usual on Sunday, and just wanted to let you know that there was a rebroadcast of Ron Paul in Alex Jones' show from Thursday the 24th. Just so there's no confusion with anything that Ron Paul said, all that about the G20 and all.
Oh, yeah. When we had the earlier caller talking about the situation and the protests and whatever. Yeah, that was, for those that didn't know, that was not a live interview. Ron Paul was commenting on the Thursday protests and not what occurred Friday evening.
Yeah, exactly. Just so there's no confusion and everything like that. And hang your flags upside down. And say hi to my kids, that's all. Okay?
All right, thank you so much, Dan. Let's go to DJ Ball in Canada. DJ, you're on the line.
Hey, Jason, pleasure, man. DJ Ball, We Are Change Vancouver. I wanted to talk to Luke, but I'll give him a call after the show.
Excellent.
Just a couple things I wanted to mention, bro. First up, Osama bin Laden right now is up there somewhere looking down at Pittsburgh, and he's wanting to give a big thank you to Police Chief Nathan Harper. Police Chief Harper, you did a great job on destroying America this weekend. Mr. Bermas, everybody out here in Vancouver that's been following this is completely appalled. And we know soon enough that, you know, this is coming to us. We have the Olympics here in February, and this is going to come to Vancouver, no doubt. Quickly, I want to just speak on Luke and the power of one person. Watching Luke Bullhorn, 400 riot police lined up at night on the last night gave me chills watching a real patriot in action. And I think this is a challenge to every activist in every city. I think we need to have 10 Luke Rudowskis in every city. And Luke touched on it earlier. It is just a matter of going out, becoming the media, which I think is very key, Jason. It's what you and Rob and everyone did. You know, everyone needs to become the media because obviously what we've seen is nothing but BS and propaganda. But if we could have 10 Luke Rudowskis in every state, this thing would change in a heartbeat. And it's just the power of activism. Luke inspired me to start We Are Change Vancouver a couple years ago. We went up against Karl Rove and a few other people. But really, guys, if you're sitting at home on your keyboards, you got to get out there and you got to get involved because people like Jason Bermas, people like Alex Jones, Cindy Sheehan, Luke Rudowski, you need everyone in the game. And I think what we've seen over this weekend in Pittsburgh, Jason, is a big call to action. I think everyone needs to see what Luke did, what you did. That footage you got last night, the last night, Jason, is spectacular. You've got a bunch of pigs, and they are pigs, I'm sorry. There's police officers and there's pigs. And watching those pigs beat down the hippie kid with the bike behind the trees thinking that they weren't on camera, I mean, that just is one of many things that I saw over the weekend that was absolutely appalling. And I think this should reinvigorate every activist in America, in Canada, to get out there, get off their butt, and get in the game. Thank you, brother. Thanks a lot, Jason, for taking my call and everything, man.
All right, thank you for the support, man. And, you know, I'm awaiting what happens this February at the Olympics because, like you said, it will be a complete and total lockdown. It will be a show of military force, and who knows how wild that could get as well. I mean, in this country now, it's okay for the military to be outside of a sports stadium if there's a terror threat. And even in Pittsburgh, I saw DHS out by the subway. I may have gotten them really quickly with my camera. I remember jumping out of a little shop that I'd been filming at. I saw them. I ran over, but then the dogs came out, and I wasn't sure whether I actually got the shot. And they were the only guys that I actually saw that were labeled DHS. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, so now it's Department of Homeland Security. It's the U.S. military. It's the FBI. I've got undercover people around here. Obviously, Secret Service and intelligence agencies from around the world are here to protect the dignitaries. But what disturbed me the most was the fact that in an empty park with less than 200 people, 1,200 riot police and military descended on the American public, attacked the American public, dehumanized the American public, and they have no idea why other than I'm just taking orders. That's the standard boilerplate answer. I'm just taking orders.